Okay, I guess we can start. This session will be in English, so hi everyone. For the next, not half an hour, like hour and that, I want to talk about mobile games, and this will be a little bit of extension of previous lecture. So my name is Michał. I'm doing games since I was 12. Actually, my whole adult life, I'm doing mobile games, mostly analytics, strategy, product. So like overall how to earn on games. And in all of time, I worked on more than 20 games, so with hundreds of millions of dollars and revenue, and those are the biggest games I work on. So we see Wrocław, we see Gdańsk. Great that it's Polish, but those are all my games I worked in my life. So here you can see as well different genres, and that's important to understand this background to what we'll be speaking about. I work with all of those companies, so you can know some of them, and as well, for me, this is kind of special moment because in 2020 I was actually lecturer here, so it's nostalgic moment to be back at university. So let's talk about mobile games, and we can talk about many areas here, and I want to talk mostly about three, which is product, monetization, and analytics. And there are plenty of other areas that we could talk in terms of how to improve the games. Like for the puzzle games, that will be, let's say, level design and progression there. That could have like crazy big impact. But I was trying to find shared space, how to increase those games. So let's start with the success rate, because I want to give a question to you that we'll be trying to answer on this session, and by the end I'll try to answer that. So to form the question, let's start with the success ratio. And right now on mobile games, this is data from Magic from last year. There were 120,000 of games released last year, and only a few hundred of them were successful. And by successful, we mean $1 million of revenue and 1 million of installations. So the success rate on average it is 0.4%, which is crazy low if you think about it. And 120K, if you compare it to Steam, I don't know if anyone knows, 19K. So even one genre from mobile games is larger than whole Steam last year. So mobile actually is underestimated by most of the people. So most people think that mobile is just, maybe it's big, maybe not, but actually if you combine the revenue from PC, from console, from VR, all of that will be still lower than mobile gaming. And actually there are crazy big games that you wouldn't think that they're even that big games, because if you think that, okay, mobile is bigger because of amount of the games, but not only. Who know these games? 1, 2, 3 people. Okay, this is the largest game on mobile. It is actually larger than the GTA 5 by the revenue. So no one here almost, by those who work in the industry, I think, knows that. So this is crazy to imagine, like, okay, it's mobile games that people spend that much on. So let's talk about the revenue distribution on mobile. It's data from Google by Mariusz. He's a great guy. If you are interested in insights, I highly recommend to follow him on LinkedIn. He's giving all of those nice insights. And we see that each year, it's harder and harder to get new games done. Yeah. So what we can see actually is that 66% of the revenue comes from games that are 6+ years on the market. And last year we had only 7% of games released last year that take this revenue. So it's harder and harder due, of course, to YouTube, TikTok, and more like investments into the mobile sector, more new games. But there is a good sign that each year there is the same amount of the revenue that is coming from not top grossing games. Yeah, so there's around 15% of the revenue that comes from games that are not in the top charts, which is a good sign that you can have small or medium-sized game, small studio, and you can still earn good money. So why is that? And first is that around one of the third time spent on mobile is spent for YouTube. Actually, only 10% of time spent on mobile is mobile gaming. So first you're fighting not only with other companies and games, etc., but you fight with watching how others play, or TikTok, etc. Yeah? So that's the one part. The second part is, even if you have those users, I call it there is a funnel of pain. So from users, and that's average, okay, because this will be different for genres, etc. But on average, from 100% of users who install your game, if you finally have those users, only 95% will even play the first game, the first round. So there are users who will install your game but never open. There are users who, let's say, will churn on loading screen. Yeah. So that's the first point. The second point is the rewarded ad will be watched by around 65% of your users. One rewarded ad in US is worth, let's say, a few cents, like around that. Of course, it differs by the CPMs, but around it will be like from 3 to 6 cents for the US. So if your CPI, as talked on the previous lecture, if your CPI is, let's say, like $1, $2, $3, imagine how many ads you have to show those users. On average, they all have to see that to earn on this user. Then, less than half of users will go back to your game the next day. After 1 week, only 1/10 of your users will go back to your game. 5% of them will make a payment, and only 0.1% will be whales. Whales are basically big spenders. So in some games it is $200, in some games it's $2,000 a week. Yeah? So it differs by the genre, by the depth of the game, but that's the pain. So the whole money lies in a tail. So you have to keep those users. It's exactly what I showed you on the chart 2 slides before. Yeah. So you have to grow those users for years, so the RPPU is higher. So let's talk about the different genres here again. Data by Apergy. We have mixed for casual, hyper casual games, and you can see where the revenue is coming from. But for me, the most important is MPD. MPD is basically LTV. This is, of course, for the whole world, so it's not only US. So in US, it will be probably like 3-4 times bigger. So this shows you how hard it is to maintain the profitability, and that's crucial. So if we talk about the genres, let's talk how they monetize. So hyper casual are mostly ads. So those are the games like Flappy Bird. It actually started this genre. So there's 5% of like the IAS there. Casual, this is the biggest difference there because it's half-half, but even inside the specific genre, it differs. Example, the puzzle games. So most of puzzle games are casual games, and most of puzzle games will earn, around 80% of them will earn on ads. But one of the biggest games for puzzle, so Candy Crush, it is 90% on IAS. So even within one genre, it will be different. But overall, we can say that it's half-half. Because it's too deep to talk about everything here. Mid-core games, mostly IAPs, but they still have rewarded ads. Interstitials, not so often. And for hardcore game, few percent, if any, actually. So, you talked, or at least if you were there 1 hour ago, about the profitability. And that's crucial, so LTV higher than the CPI. You have to have it to be successful. But that's just only the beginning of the story. So what's next? It's scalability, actually. Because your CPI will rise with scale. So up until, let's say, so let's have an example. Hybrid casual game will be having like CPI $1. You start with $1 CPI in US for your game, and up until, let's say, 100K installations, you will maintain the $1 CPI. But between 100K and 1 million, it will rise to $2. So if you have the LTV, let's say $1.2, then you have some space, but you will soon run out of users and it will be flat. So the thing is that you have to have increase over time of LTV higher or at least equal to stay on top of that than increase of the CPI. And that's crucial to make big games. So that's the difference, because the profitability is good for small games. Okay, maybe not good, but it's enough to make a small game or medium-sized game. But if you really want to have games with billions of installations and millions of dollars, you have to have the scalability. The second part is marketability. So this is the whole story of the CPI. I will not talk about that on this lecture. It is all the user acquisition growth teams that do ads and try to squeeze better and decrease the CPI. I will talk about how to increase the LTV, or at least how those companies with those big games, how they, what they do to increase the LTV. So one of the first things, most impactful things, they do is they segment pricing. What this means is that most of games will have, let's say, one offer for, let's say, $20, and you give this offer for everyone. So segmentation is basically you create few offers, so 5, 10, 20, and 100, and you give these offers to users who would want to buy this offer more likely. So basically you are increasing the profitability, the probability of the conversion. And how you do that? There are two factors you can speak of mostly. It's the payment and the time. So most algorithms focus on the payment sum, so the sum of the whole spend of the user, the maximum payment in one time, average payment multiplied by the factor for upselling the game, or let's say and recent, like let's say last 5 payments multiplied by let's say 1.2 to upsell this user. And on top of that, you have to have fun with the price points. I'll give you an example. I know this can be a little bit hard to understand just from this. So we'll have an example for time. We have lifetime, and this is great for the dashboards to tell the story what's happening in your game. So if you want to have your full story, you can segment them by the lifetime payments, and that's great to check the dashboards. But for choosing the price for your game, this is bad one. This is good one. So last some days. So let's say last week, last 2 weeks, last month, and you want to use this for choosing the price for your offer. As well, you can use like last season, last event, if you are deep there, but that's even deeper. So let's give an example. We start with time. Let's say last week, we check price point. So max payment in this case was $20. So we add or remove a price point. So we have final prices. Let's say 20 and higher. So it all depends on what is your goal right now. If you want to upsell your user, so basically make that they will spend more, you are trying to give bigger, like a little bit bigger price point than he's spending right now. But if they are dropping, so they were a big spender, they went to medium spender, you want to bring back the conversion. So you do remove the price, one low. And this is pretty simple. But the whole magic is in A/B testing and data analysis. So you have to do all A/B testing of algorithms, of values, of time. So it's all there, and that's the real fun, actually. And there are many ways to segment users in game, not only for the pricing, and like this segmentation based on like RFM model is one of best ones actually to really understand what's happening in your game. So you have how often and how much they spend and the time. So it's giving you the perspective, but the real thing is to dive deeper and understand what's happening. So as an example, you want to think about those users because they are spending at most, but they're stopping paying. So recently they spent less and less. So you want to check this line. Okay, what's happening there? What are the common points there? Maybe they, I don't know, have some struggle with events, maybe with leaderboards, maybe those levels, if this is a puzzle game, maybe those levels are too hard because they spend that much that they fast progress in the game and this is hard. So you ask questions and you try to tell the story. Okay, what are the common points and when loyal customers go to, okay, done. So you have to think about that and ask many questions. And those even bigger games, mid-core games, deep games with economy, with many items, etc. Use personalization over segmentation. So segmentation is basically putting users into the groups, and personalization is trying to give something unique for each user. And I will give you a case study that we did for Hunt Royale back in time. So here you can see offers, and those offers were each week, each Friday, user got an offer, unique offer. And you can see different prices, different things. So the hunter, perks, some resources, cards. So in this case, our personalization worked like we were asking each week, we created an algorithm that is asking users, or let's say the output of users, what we should give them to maximize the potential for the conversion. So here we check like, okay, what is last played hunter? If they lack resources, maybe some soft currency or hard currency. If they have level 9 and are close to level 10 and they need some cards and resources. But maybe they have full character, they have out of 12 some abilities, we want to give them that. So we created a system that created each week 100,000 of unique offers each week. Because of the amount of hunters and characters and cards and resources, blah, 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 we gave this offer. And the revenue uplift was by 12%. It can be visible here and then in the whole journey, actually. So next point, I want to talk about a little bit about monetization as UX UI. I love this topic because in terms of cost to value ratio, it can really give you great results. Let's talk about one more time HuntReal, a case study. So we reworked shop, old new. I hope you see the difference. And in the background, you see even like small swords moving, so the quality is bigger. You see that, let's say, the battle pass is giving you the exact value right now. It's blurry a little bit, but here you just have an illustration price and you have the counter. But here it's scrolling by itself. You can see all the items with values. Actually, you can scroll by yourself as well. So those are the things that make the difference. And also, if you go to store and it's a little bit smelly, there's not good order on the shelves, yeah. And on the other side, you go to the store and it's like aircon, like here. It's great, it's nice smell. You're like, okay, maybe I will spend something here. And the same we did it here. This is subscription that was revenue increased by almost half. Actually, here a small note that we changed a little bit economy here, so it's not only this factor, but for Battle Pass, it's only factor. So only thing that changed is the UI, nothing else changed, and the conversion for Battle Pass went increased by half. And this is like, if you think about that, what kind of changes can give you such big impact? It's very hard to find something bigger than that kind of changes, because like we tried, yeah, so we added quests to the Battle Pass, and creating many quests for different groups of users, doing the testing, etc. is very hard to do so. But changing the UX UI was much faster, and this is the result. And we will talk a little bit about product later on, why it's important to pick changes that will not cost you much resources and give you good value. So there's much more of insights. Here's the next example. So we went even deeper. So we changed the Battle Pass. We added Battle Pass Plus version with instant progression and better visuals, with whole list of items, etc. And it's improved revenue by around 20%. And there's many more case studies I would love to give you, but we have to talk about other things as well today. So let's move to external stores. Who know about the Epic versus Apple war? Okay, pretty everyone, yeah? So last month, Apple lost with Epic, actually. What companies right now do to monetize their users, and this is pretty good cost to value ratio, is that they are launching their own web stores. So instead of purchasing in your Android or iPhone, you purchase on the web store with pretty much bonuses, loyalty programs, etc. So user, we have to somehow convince this user to use this. And why? Because of the fees. So you can have from 2 to 6, 7% of payment fees from the providers versus the 30% that Apple and Google takes. So this is 25%, 10 to 25% of the revenue uplift just from creating the store. Yeah, so this is like, if you have old game, this is crazy increase if you think about how you can approach the production. So for monetization, last but not least are ads, but I wanted to keep it more advanced. For ads, there is almost nothing advanced. So only what you can do with ads is mostly A/B testing them. So banner, it is only you can test on and off to see if that's better for your users, they are maybe stick longer to the game, etc. For interstitial, there are two things to test, which is on and off, again, because like you have big spenders, they see like interstitial ads in the game, they leave. So on off, if or maybe in some countries, so you want to do the segmentation, again, it's here, yeah, so you can always go deeper. And the second thing is interval, so how often those ads appear in your game. The third option is rewarded ads, and you can basically check three things here. So new placements, space, where this placement appears, and economy values of this placement, so how the reward it gives you. There are some new things like interstitial rewarded ads recently. So you have interstitial ad, but you show you will get 5 coins in 5 seconds. So this is to make users stay, because most people, when you see interstitial ads, they quit the game, then log in once again because it's shorter than watching the ad. So this is keep them. So we could talk about that kind of insights, but yeah, maybe on the after part. So it's all about A/B testing, as was as well mentioned previously. So A/B testing means analytics, and to first talk about A/B testing, we have to talk about KPIs. And for me, the biggest, the most important thing is to understand the difference between business and product metrics. So business metrics are all the revenue, profit, marketing spend, RPU, RPPU, blah blah blah. Yeah. For product, we have session time, when the people leave, how many games they play, their economy in and outs, ads impressions, etc. So all the product data. So the difference is that business KPIs tell you what happened, but product KPIs explain why this happened. An example, you have $5 RPU. That's what you know. And then without checking the product data, you can assume, okay, maybe this comes from, let's say, half no ads, half some ads, maybe some other IAPs, or even you check those data in the business, but you don't check the whole story. So with product, what you can do is you can actually check, okay, so we have $5 because on level 2, 4, 8, 12, they see an ad, then they have too much ads, so they purchase no ads, then they play until level 20. On level 20, there is, let's say, crazy hard level, most of them leave. That's why your LTV starts at $5. So that's what you should be aware of to really go always deeper, and not just have few APIs and try to assume what's happening. Never assume in mobile gaming. So this is important, and one of things. This is for me one of the most important things as well, is that the correlation is not the causation, and this appears in all our lives actually. So there's high correlation of shark attacks and ice cream sales. They all skyrocket in the summer. Yeah. So you could tell without understanding the data that you could say, okay, let's stop selling ice creams, and everyone would be happy because we have no addicts besides those users who eat ice creams. But it's not like that. So if you start an A/B test, even if you have higher RPU, it doesn't mean that it is because of this change. So you have to understand that. And there are crazy other things like that, like people could join in the pool and call us hate movies. And there are and this is crazy strong if you think about it. And there are many more cases like that. So let's start with A/B testing. A little bit deeper. So testing for statistics is like judging your dish after one bite. Or too salty, it's bad, it's good. Don't do that. So what is statistics? Actually, it's math that tell you if what happened is caused by what you changed, or is a random factor. Like maybe weekends, maybe your spenders are feeling bad, maybe they have some meetings in the family, etc. Maybe the weather is bad, or maybe it's good and they went out, etc. So you have to check that. And why you should do that? Because of many things, but two of them are fluctuation and outliers. So fluctuation is basically, imagine daily playtime. So you would imagine that it's this red one, this red light. probably, yeah, like, okay, this is the playtime. But actually, it is, you know, like that. So it all jumps down and back. And I have an like exercise for your game. Run an AA test. Change nothing in your game, no changes, start A/B test, and you will see probably from 5 to 10% change in the result. You will see that one group is earning 5% more, and no change. So this is your baseline of the fluctuation, and you have to be aware, okay, why? So outliers. Most of us are here, so if you compare that, it's like billionaire and homeless, and you know, most of us here. It's the guy who plays your game 8 hours and half an hour, yeah, most of people. So how you know that how you know that you don't have some outliers in your group? How to remove that? So first you have to understand what is normal distribution, and it looks like that. I know it's pretty nerdy, so maybe this will be better. So pizza delivery times. So most of the delivery time will be between 25 and 35 minutes, and you will have some outlier examples like after 1 hour or in few minutes you will have like, what's happening? Here's a pizza, yeah. But this puts to the perspective, and we can see as well the distributions on the different groups of users, and as well even deeper. So here's the hate by human, men, and NBA players. So how to know that if you have this plus 5% RPU in one group, how we know that it's exactly because of this change? So there is a thing that's called statistical significance p-value. There's one metric that tells you that. It's basically running a statistical test, math, that will tell you, okay, probably, and we'll go deeper how it's working, but probably this will be the outcomes. You have to have enough of users to have this p-value appeared. So if you make some change and you have 100 of users, it's very hard to have the p-value here. You would have to change like some very drastic changes. So data sample, so basically amount of users in your test. You have to have enough of that. And there's no one data sample, value of data sample that you would need. Because like many people and companies ask me like, okay, what is the data sample that we should have? There are calculators on the website and stuff that you can check because it's based on what is your expected result and what you are changing. Yeah, and you can calculate that, and this can give you, let's say, we need 100K to statistically say that there is p-value. So after 100K, you check that, and you check, okay, now it's there. So what we do actually is we run an A/B test on small, or let's say half, whatever, yeah, depending on the case, but on some group of your users. Then we run A/B test, we check data, we run the methods for the probability, we make an action to release those changes, and we check, okay, if that's really happening what we saw in A/B testing or not. And there's even such thing called peaking in the industry, which is just a curiosity for those who are deeper in A/B testing. Peaking, so checking the results often leads to seeing the statistical significance often, which is crazy because that's because of luck. And that doesn't mean that you should do that. Can you make a little bit? Yeah. I don't know if you feel this on the screenshot. It's on. Thank you. So the more often you check actually your test, there is a little bit higher chance to see the statistical significance result because of the luck, because of the amount of times you check, amount of data. So that means that doesn't mean that you should do it, because the thing is, you make some change, you put your effort, you spend one week, 1 month, whatever, on let's say new level or putting more ads, having better battle pass in your game, and you want this to succeed. Always want this A/B test to win. So you checking every hour, every other day, and all of us do that. I do that as well. So the thing is, you will do it still, but know this. Yeah? If you do that, just understand that, okay, for next 2 weeks, I will still check the results every day because I love this dopamine hit, like let's check what's happening there, yeah? But the thing is, okay, for next 2 weeks, I will be checking that because I'm psycho, but I will not assume and have any conclusions from this data. So methodology, and here we go a little bit deeper. So you have to, I mean not have to, but would be good if you know two methodologies, which is frequentist statistics and Bayesian method. So what's the difference between them? So the first one is that they tell you what's the chance to seeing this result if there's no difference. So meaning p-value. P-value in most companies, most cases is alpha equals to 0.05. So this means that there's 5% chance that we will see this result in the game if there's no difference. So if you have plus 5% in the revenue, and we have p-value 5%, then it means that, okay, there's 5% chance that we will still see the plus 5% RPU when we release those changes, but it's not because of this A/B test. So you always have some chance to be mistaken. Bayesian is a little bit more catchy. It's what's the chance that this version is better knowing what we know? And it sounds a little bit mysterious, so let's give you some analogy to cooking, because we all understand that, I guess. So frequent is Bayesian changing the receipt, let's say we're adding salt to your spaghetti. And first one is you cook this spaghetti 100 times, and then you check this spaghetti, those 100 spaghettis each time, and then you decide if that's better. So none of us does that, but we actually do the second one. So we start with a belief. So let's say there's 50% chance that if I add salt next time if I cook spaghetti, it will be better. So then you have a bite, and so then next time you cook the spaghetti with more salt and you have a bite and it's better, +1. You give to your friend, it's better, +1. You give to your mother, not so good, okay, -1. So with amount of users, you update your belief of, okay, this is good result or bad result. And yeah, here it looks much deeper. So there are plenty of statistical tests depending on many things. So we talk about normal distribution. Why this is important? Because actually here is if the data is normally distributed or not. Actually, there are different tests. There are as well different tests for retention and for RPU. So there are many things that go deeper, and you don't have to know that unless you want to be data analyst in mobile gaming. But it's worth to know that it's really deep and what's happening there overall. And you can do that even in your Excel, actually. So there's ANOVA, this is one of the most known statistical tests. Here you have the p-value, what we talked about. So this is statistically significant, and those are those. So here's tricky part. So even if you know all of that, you know that the correlation is not the causation, you know the p-value, you know p, blah, blah, blah. You know all of that, you will still have false positive. So you think that someone is watching at you, but actually they're watching behind you, not at you. And in industry, that would be that the tests say that there is a bug, that there is not bug, but actually there is a bug. So, and there could be because of various of reasons, because of holidays, because of, you know, just humor of your users, because of the weather, because of plenty other things. So even not knowing that, doing all the statistics, being aware of those things, you will still have that kind of issues. So let's talk about product a little bit. And I was thinking what to show you about product. And if I would have to pick one thing for the product to talk to you about, I would pick roadmap, because product management is mostly about, okay, what we should do with this product. So it basically goes to, given the resources, yeah, what we can do about this. So roadmap, and there are plenty of things that we could touch in the roadmap area. But I want to talk mostly about what changes you should focus on. So basically, if you would start working on mobile game right now, okay, what should I do with this game? Why should I spend time on new level or on adding ads, maybe on adding battle pass? Why I should do that? On what I should focus? You never should do like, oh, I think this game will be better if we add some trees or better level or new game modes. Never do that. So it's one of the most important ones for the product. So it's cost to value ratio. You check the cost, you check the value of the items. So, and there are frameworks for that. So I will show you, and there are many frameworks. I will show you two, how I like to approach that. So first I check the Moscow, so must have, should have, could have, won't have. I get all my ideas, I speak with the team, I speak with the testers, I speak with the VIP support, customer support, I check Discord, I do survey, whatever. I have these all inputs, then I put this into this matrix. I take must have and should have, and put this to matrix value to effort, to the cost. And I want to be mostly here, from the must have and should. And it's tricky, it's not always true, actually, because sometimes you must have update your Unity version, which will take a bunch of time, and and the value for the user is like 0 practically. They don't see it until the game dies. So it's not a trap. You must have do it. Yeah. So there are many frameworks like ICE, like SWOT analysis, etc. that you could use, but those two should be enough to think about how to optimize your product and on what you should focus. So product thinking, like we have left on only those minutes, okay. So product thinking, let's speed up. Quote by the Tony Robbins, one of my, I think, most impactful quotes in my life, for not only for gaming but for everything. Your ultimate resource is resourcefulness. So if we think about the resources, 2 developers, 2 artists, 1 designer, this is not the resource. The resource is how you manage daily time and when you put daily effort into which kind of changes. That is your resource. So you should think, given the resources, what's the best chance for success for those games. Product loop, we're running a little bit out of time, so I will be faster. We start always with data. If we half of the weekly meetings for mobile games are data, even more probably. We start with the data. And we turn that into insight. Is what we talk, not only, okay, one KPI, we have that. Insight is basically having the data points and having a story based on this data. We turn that to the action, so we have a hypothesis like, okay, it will be better if we do that to the game. We test that, we release and we check if this really is what we thought. If that's not that, we go again, we check, okay, what happened, why we were wrong. If that worked, we take another issue and we do that all the time, because there will be always issues and things to work on in your mobile game. This is never-ending story. You can work on mobile game for 20 years. There are no mobile games for 20 years, but you can work for 8 years in one mobile game. There is still much more issues in the data that you can do. So for the end of the session, hard truths for mobile gaming who didn't work on mobile games, and if you think you want to jump to this industry. Yeah.
Oh, God bless you.
Yeah, God bless you, yeah. So most A/B tests don't move the needle. I mean, they change nothing. Most of tests, you will see nothing. So if you change something, do big changes. Don't change the color of your background, of your UI, whatever, from green to blue. Like, don't do that. Do big changes. Don't waste time. Fun is not enough. Even more, if you have fun game, quality game, unique level design game, it's not enough. You have to have marketability, profitability, scalability, and there are many things to be successful in mobile markets. You will hate me for that one. You are not working on a game, you're working on product. And that's the hard truth. Because you, of course, still are a gamer. We are all here because we played the game sometime in the childhood, yeah? But so you have to play the game, you have to enjoy that, but you have to have product thinking about it. Pay to win often works in mobile game. So, yeah, we all hate. LTV is capped, CPI is not. So LTV, after a few years working on a game, it is start flattening, but the CPI will fucking rise to $100. So be aware of that. Most ads lie because of YouTube, TikTok, amount of attention span that we have that is decreasing each year. We have to somehow catch your attention to come to our game. So we lie. Your game isn't unique. I mean, probably. With 120K each year in new games, probably there are 5 other games like your game. So, and mobile users don't read, so that's hard truth. So that's why UX UI is so important. Put it in front of their face, be transparent, try to be to the point. And the last one, I love it. Data is everything, right? Yeah, no, until it's not, actually. So I know that most of, like, almost whole session was about data, but the thing is, it's not everything. Okay, so it is everything until some point, but you have to speak to your users, you have to play the game, you have to speak with your team. There are much more things than just data. Don't be data-driven, be data-informed. Yeah, so don't be solely on data. Be informed of the story that comes from data, and then build some beliefs, okay, what we should do with this data and how we should approach the product. So, answering the question, answering the question, what those mobile games do and what you can do if you do your mobile games, I could list here plenty of things, but I list here only 3. So first one is leverage holistic approach. So take data, take user feedback, do surveys, speak with your team, but even within the data, yeah? Don't only focus on small points of your data. Think about day 1, day 60, day 90, check ARCDAO, check holistically what's happening in every point, where the revenue is coming from, how those users behave. Ask questions. You could have around 100 KPIs, you could describe what's happening in your game. Second one, build systems, not features. Very important one. This changes approach. Well, I have no time, so I will skip the last one. Balance creativity with business. So don't be just, the creative gamer from the tribe that, oh, I want to, that game would be better if we change this level or whatever. That's not the approach, and don't only be the solely business person. Okay, you have to change this, like the corpo, like Blizzard, like those cases. So balance that. Yeah, and that's pretty it. We have time for QA or? 5 minut. Okay, so możemy chyba po polsku mówić już? W sumie? Chyba, że jest ktoś anglojęzyczny na sali? Is anyone English speaking based? Okay, then we talk English. So, who wants to start with questions? Are there any besides Bartosz?
It's any space still for the indie developers in the game mobiles, or
is there any space for indie game developers on mobile? Yeah, some always. But so we have to describe what is indie. So you can do it's almost impossible to do your game without investor or a publisher, because having all of those data, you have to build the solutions. There are free tools like Firebase, Looker Studio, Google Analytics. You can use them, but if you think how many areas you have to cover as an indie developer, so imagine you only do let's say programming, design, art, sound. So you do whole production of game. It's like 20% of mobile game, probably like around that, because you have marketing, you have to create ads, you have to then set up the campaigns, different campaigns, waterfall for the ads. Then you have to make the ASO, so apps for optimization. You have to have them on the shops, do A/B testing for the screenshots. Then you have to have the whole analytical structure, business intelligence and product analytics. So to check all those data. Then you have to have the customer support, VIP support to those players to speak with them. So if you think how many specializations you have to cover as an indie, there's a way to a certain point, let's say to 1 million installations, maybe to 5 million installations as an indie, but without the publisher, it's very hard to do it. Yep.
Do you know any resources or case studies about the UX UI part that you showed? It's really interesting, but it's quite short.
Yeah, quite short, yeah. So if you go to my LinkedIn, each week I post about findings. There are a few findings from Fishing Clash as well, from Hunter, from other games. GDC, it's worth to check GDC, all the lectures there. Reach out to me on LinkedIn, I can send you some examples. But it's very hard, and that's actually one of my missions, to speak on the conferences. Why I do that? is because I was attending the conferences for past 7-8 years, and I was always like, okay, they just show something, but without real data. Okay, what changed there? They just want to share the company. We're a great company. Come work with us. Yeah, so I like to share real data. Today we had to talk about analytics a little bit deeper, so only 2-3 case studies, but I can give you.
Okay.
Could you share any insight about your external storage or shop external shop?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's really, really interesting, and I know that there could be some trust issues that, okay, I'm a mobile user, I used to buy everything in a Google Play, for example, and I'm redirecting outside and need to buy something there. Of course, that's profitable, I know, but what about trusting in that case?
About trusting. If you spend $1,000 each week, you already trusted your game.
I'm not about whales. I'm about like regular users from the first sort.
So you actually don't care that much about them?
Okay.
Yeah, because around 90%, 80%, it depends on the game, but high percentage of revenue comes from whales, from big spenders. So we won't move them to the store. Those small spenders, like, it's good optimization, and what you can do is you can do some systems like loyalty programs, like Coinmaster has leaks. In Fishing Clash we introduced leaks lately, and it worked great as well. So you can make them stick to your game, to your external store, but actually most of users, most of your revenue trust you already. You know, you play this game 2 years, you spend $20K on this game. I know this sounds high, but it's even much higher in some cases. You already trust.
So main target for the external shows is like from the VIP level and from people who regularly spend money and want just to get some offs.
I would say top 90% of spenders. It's your audience you want to do the stores for, because it's most of revenue.
I wanted to question you about the line that says about not caring about the small spenders. The mobile industry is so focused on getting as much whales as you can. Is there any possibility to change the market to focus more on not the whales, but the overall small spending populace, which is a lot bigger, but that's not much.
Each year it's harder, and companies such as Google and Apple make it even harder. So there's a thing that's called EDFA. 3 years ago, I think, around that, they introduced that. So overall, an answer to your question is ads can make that, you are not spending, you can watch ads. So and around half of the revenue of the industry comes from ads, like around that. So this is the answer to your question, but the thing is, it is harder with each year. So we are moving to IAPs with each year. Why? Because we have like this EDFA, etc. And what they do is basically they don't want us to track you when you play the game. So if we don't track you, we are not earning on you. So around half of the users who watch ads have no consent for sharing the information, so we are not earning on them. So with each year, it's harder and harder. That's on Apple. Google wants to introduce that. They want to do it in 2024. They wanted to do it in 2025. Now they want to do it in 2026. So a little bit delays, but they will eventually do that. So it is harder and harder. It's a great question for a debate, but long story short, I would say that. Any more questions? So if you have any more questions, you can add me on LinkedIn if you want to stay in touch. And as well, I will be on the after party, so we can have a beer, I guess, there and talk about mobile games and beyond. So thank you and see you there.